launching them forward because it's the next generation, right? So we're having to launch them forward. And the best way that we found to be able to do this is to host a scholarship. So last year we gave away $5,000 last year. This is a furthering education scholarship for all of North Carolina students. And then, so this year, our aim and our plan is $10,000 away in furthering education. And so this is our kind of plan at Central Trad to help push the next generation forward with furthering their education.
Well, that's beyond cool, right? And so the scholarship last year, how did that work out? To what college they go to? Do you remember?
So each one of them went to something different. One of them went to a basketball scholarship overseas, which she's doing fantastic right now. And then another one went to what was it? It was architecture. What is the proper word for that, Hannah?
Hi guys, I'm Michael. Architecture.
Yeah, there you go. Like I said, she has the degree in it, not me, so I can't even say it right. But the benefit of that, and we had a few more. We had 5 in totality, so we gave away $5,000 scholarships. So this year we're trying to give away 10 $1,000 scholarships to each individual student who's able to apply for it.
And so it's a neat way that Jesus can provide through this conference, which is coming up, by the way, June 20th through the 21st. And it's at Central Triad, really cool church, Rodney. And then we got movie production. We got all sorts of stuff. And so, Mikkel, tell us a little bit of your role in this.
So my role within our Next Gen conference is to help to be able to push the vision. Because like my brother was saying, we love to try to reach this next generation because these guys need to know Jesus in a way that they can impact the kingdom, so they can expand the kingdom for the world, and just so that way they can show Jesus to people in a way that they didn't know they could prior to. So Next Gen has been a fantastic way. I think last year we had about 500 students come in. We had so many baptisms, and we had so many young people just dedicate their lives to Christ.
Wow.
And this is for people that are in middle school, high school, and even up to young adults. And to piggyback off of the scholarships, this is for anyone from high school, even parents wanting to go back to school, anyone that is wanting to further their education, they are able to apply for this scholarship.
Yeah. And also we have Annalisa in the studio with us. And so Annalisa, how about you? What's your role with Next Gen?
Hi, Robbie. I am not with the Next Gen.
Okay.
I am with the program A Bed and a Book.
Oh,
But I love what Next Gen's doing, and I have a lot of children that I'm serving that I think could benefit from this wonderful conference. And I would like to spread the word to each one that we deliver to and let them know more about this, so they can learn more about not only how we're showing God's love through delivering the beds, but how they can also be part of God's kingdom, as Mikkel said.
it's all coming back to me now, my poor memory. So yes, Annalisa, A Bed and a Book. What is A Bed and a Book?
So A Bed and a Book is a nonprofit that provides beds to children that are sleeping on the floor, children that have never had a bed of their own. The numbers show that tonight 2 to 3% of children have no option but to sleep on a couch, a floor, and a makeshift bed.
Wow. How cool is that? And to make this all even more amazing from my standpoint, next up we have a lawnmower that's coming through, if you're hearing that. We have Bill Witcherman with us, and he wrote a book called Stewards, Not Owners. And so I'm sure, Bill, as you're listening to these guys, that you're thinking they're stewarding that which God gave them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And my wife is also here with me because we co-authored this book, Robbie.
That's right. Dana and Bill, I did not realize that you were on there as well, but welcome, Dana.
Thank you.
I am so excited. So Stewards, Not Owners. What a great idea of a book. Tell me a little bit about it, Dana.
Yeah, so the title is Stewards, Not Owners, The Joy of Aligning Your Money with Your Faith. And we emphasize the joy part because we interviewed 24 people who are currently just sold out to the Lord in terms of they know their kingdom purpose, they have dedicated their resources and their life and their time to kingdom building, and they're finding such joy and freedom in it. So we wanted to emphasize that because typically when you hear about a book that says, oh, lining, your face with your money, it sounds like they're going to make me feel guilty and they're going to make me give all my money away, And really it's trying to, the stewardship mentality is saying, you know, God gave us everything. It's on loan. It's entrusted to us. How do we as trustees manage and steward that resource, whether that's our time, our talent, our treasure, all parts of life we want to, and we want to teach young people too, to steward those resources for the kingdom. And it sounds like my brothers and sisters who are on this call as well are helping people do that as well.
Yeah, they're actually in the studio. So we just have a whole plethora of opportunities like this, because, you know, when I really look at this and I think about what you just said, the joy of aligning your money with your faith, you can imagine the joy of the people that got to work on this project, all the work that went into it. And then I'm sure you guys invested your own money. And then you see the people, you know, out there using that because I'm sure you guys all had some student loans when you were coming through college. I know my kids did. So you can see the whole picture of, but anytime, you know, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but there are 613 commandments in the Old Testament. It happens to be the same number of seeds that are in a pomegranate. Anyway, the idea, and a lot of people hit on the Jews because they said, like, you're going to follow all those commandments. Well, the way they look at that is really, truly beautiful, that when you do a commandment, that you're connecting your heart with God when you obey him. And that's all that Jesus said, really. You can boil it down to 2 commandments if you want to. But like I've said many times, my wife loves pizza. I don't like pizza. But if I go get my wife a pizza, and I'm thinking about it as I'm smelling this pizza all the way home, I'm not sitting there going, gee, you know, man, this stuff don't smell so good. But what I'm thinking about when she sees this pizza, sure, her eyes are going to light up. This is going to be awesome. Well, when you're giving to God, if the joy of the Lord is your strength, right? It's like, man, he's going to be this is so cool that I get to do this with God, right? And that's such a beautiful thing about what we're talking about in all these things today. And so for those who are anticipating Robbie's riddle, yes, it's coming up after the break. And you can imagine that since we got the whole steward thing, we're going to hit you with some of those jokes, and those are coming. And of course, we're going to have a riddle for you to win. But again, to go over quickly who we have with us today, we have Rodney, who is a film producer. We're going to hear a lot about his films coming up. We have Corbin and Mikkel with Central Triad and this Next Generation Conference we're going to do. And then Annalisa with Bed in a Book, not to mention Dana and Bill Wichterman. Am I saying that right? Wichterman?
Wichterman, like wick in the candle.
Okay, Wichterman. I got it. Stewards, not owners, just to kind of sum it all up, man. We are loaded. We're more loaded when you call in later. So we're going to be a whole lot more coming up on Kingdom Pursuit. Stay tuned.
From Love Worth Finding, here's Adrian Rogers with the treasure from the Word.
I was reading in the newspaper a while back about an airplane, a fighter plane, and this is not a joke, it literally happened. This plane fired its cannon and was moving so fast it overtook the bullet and shot itself down. Literally. And a lot of folks I know doing the same thing. I mean, they're shooting themselves down. They do not take time to slow down, to be still and know that God is God, to have that serenity, that quietness. It's not a sin to be quiet. It's a sin not to be quiet. Let me give you some scripture. Isaiah 30, verse 15. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Psalm 46 and verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 119, verse 15. I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. How much time do we take to really, really digest and assimilate what God has given us? If you don't have time to do this, you're too busy. You're going to miss life. Jesus said, I have come that you might have life and have it abundantly. You're going to miss life looking for it.
For more about Love Worth Finding and Adrian Rogers, visit our website at lwf.org.
Two words from Jesus that change everything. True Commentary with Stu Epperson, author of the book, Last Words of Jesus.
In Mark chapter 14, Jesus gave 2 words to his disciples. They could hardly stay awake. He's at the most critical moment of his whole life before going to the cross. And he said these 2 words, watch and pray. Let's talk about watch. What do you see? Do you see things as he sees things? People as he sees people? How are you doing is much different than how are you really doing. First you watch and then you pray. When you pray, you're depending on God. You're bringing him into the situation. You're asking him to work and you're asking him to do the impossible. Watch and pray. See as Jesus sees and ask him to help. And he's a very present help in the time of need. Those 2 words change everything.
True Commentary with Stu Epperson, author of the book, Last Words of Jesus. Available now in bookstores. Learn more at lastwordsofjesus.com.
I see you finally got a new helmet.
I did. Spotted cheap online. Follow me. We'll turn off here.
I'm right behind you.
Watch the cars. They can be crazy.
Daddy, no! Are you okay? Somebody do something!
Was this young man hit by a car?
Yes, and his helmet is smashed.
It's a brand new helmet.
It's probably a fake. Fakes cause real harm. You're smart. Buy smart. Brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council and the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
Welcome back to Kingdom Pursuits, where we hear how God takes your passion. Oh, do we hear today about passion and uses it to build the kingdom? We got Rodney. Again, amazing filmmaker with Corbin, his producer. They've got some exciting news to share with you shortly. Then we have both Corbin and Mikkel. They're with Central Triad Church, which has got this next generation converse going on. That's just amazing, coming up in June. And then Anna, Lisa, with a bed and a book. And like really cool. You know, how hard is it to sleep on the ground? And what might it mean to have, you know, and we haven't even got to the book. There's some really important books out there. So we're going to get to that with Anna, Lisa. And then we have Stewards, Not Owners, with Dana and Bill Wichterman. I like that. I'm trying to get these names down. So Nick, I know you're excited to know that speaking of stewards, you know what I'm saying? Yes. So for those of you who have never played Shenanigans before, you know, here's your opportunity, which by all means, so if you have an answer to any of these riddles, jump in there. We're going to test your knowledge right now. So there's your opportunity. Now, the one that the listeners can call in and win, you can't guess on that one. But these opening ones, you can do that. And Nick, I've been training him for years on this, so he's starting to get it.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure, but
all right. So what famous singer speaking of stewards, by the way, what famous singer would you hire to watch your fishing equipment? What famous singer would you hire in order to watch your fishing equipment? What you think? Dana, or Bill, you got it?
No.
I don't know.
Rod Stewart.
That's good.
I knew you'd like that. Okay. So why do apples, here's a little other tricky one. Why do apples avoid being seen with Martha Stewart? You know, speaking of stewards, Martha Stewart, why do apples avoid being seen? Yeah, this is a pretty tough one. I'll be shocked if anybody can get it. It is tough. Yeah. What do you think, Rodney?
I do not know. They're afraid to get cooked.
The seedy characters, yeah, all that stuff. But here's the real answer: to avoid suspicion of insider training.
Oh God! You know what? That kind of came to mind, but not that way. But you just don't do that. Wow!
Insider
jokes, man.
And since we're on, you know, this one's a little easier, just, you know, since you're warmed up. What is the title of Martha Stewart's book on accounting? I bet you can get this one. Come on, guys. Dana, you got it, right?
This is not my skill set.
Cooking the books.
Oh,
Well played.
almost more like dad jokes.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly. Well, shenanigans, however you want to put it. Granddad, as the case may be. So you knew at the end of all those shenanigans, I actually have a riddle for you to call in and win today. And I'm very excited about this one. Very biblical riddle. So, of course, speaking of stewards, what did the unjust steward in the Bible do? What was his deal? What did the unjust steward in the Bible do? If you know the answer to that, you call us at 866-348-7884. 866-348-7884. What did the unjust steward in the Bible do? And if you answer that, Nick, tell them what they'll win.
Absolutely, yes. You'll be winning a prize from our Kingdom Princess Prize Wall, and you could be winning a book from the schools as well. Give us a call at 866-348-7884.
Yes, we have the book, Stewards, Not Owners. All you have to do on this steward question is call in at 866-348-7884. There's a caller already, Nick. I see it. Look, they're just lighting it up. The stewards out there, 866-348-7884. So, getting over here to Rodney and Corbin with their new film, which Rodney, how many films have you done now?
Films I've written so far, I've written about 4 films so far. Mm-hmm. And this one's called The Last Gentle Wind of Autumn, which we're really excited about.
Yes, I've seen this film, The Last Gentle Wind of Autumn.
Yes, sir.
And it like all of your films, right? They are meant to create an experience, right? Or what would you say, Corbin?
Really, yeah, provoke that feeling in someone to kind of like look deeper into it. And a lot of our stories, and Rodney will back this as well, is they're Christian underlinings, but we're wanting people to spark conversations. And so, when you watched it, how did that feel for you when you watched it?
Well, again, it was provoking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that word. That's a really good word. The way that Rodney does his movies is it's not going to be completely obvious what's going on. I mean, and so which creates this mystery of like, what exactly is going on here? And then it begins to isolate but the title to the movie, it sounds like something that has to do with death. And then you begin to see that it has something to do with that. And you're just left with that kind of haunted feeling of, wow, where's God in all this?
Yeah. And the biggest thing is, where's God in all this? He's with us all the way through it, And so I wanted to create something this time around that allows for us to deal with the many facets of life, all the way through to the end, the highs and the lows, and finding him in that. But also the biggest thing was for me is always to create a situation where we can have a more in-depth conversation. I remember coming up and watching certain movies and feeling like, I feel like they're trying to insult my intelligence. Well, as a filmmaker, I'd never want to do that. And I know Corbin would agree.
You've never done that. In all your films.
Thank you.
The one thing you'd never done, Rodney, because you're always sitting there going, oh my goodness, I have to think through this, because it is provoking. Yeah. It is that's an interesting value that you obviously are basing what you're doing on, is that you are giving the audience the chance to use their reasoning ability.
Yeah, we were wanting something that people can watch with their families and really, Dad, what does that mean? It's like, did you have to go through something like this? Yeah. And then really those kind of conversations really, like you were saying, is the best word for it, provokes just a deeper level of understanding, and growth can happen from that. And allowing God to follow and lead you through that process of it is really unique. And I love hearing what people have to say. Hey, I saw my kid and I watched that film, and his grandpa just died, and he finally kind of found a way to kind of grieve it while kind of learning how this character did this as well, and going through the steps of it. And so that's very back at you, but very good on that end of it.
And so we got that this film is not, what is it? 10 minutes, 8 minutes?
It's 8 minutes and 43 seconds.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's coming out very soon, right, on YouTube?
It's actually out right now. So if you go onto YouTube, you type in The Last Gentle Wind of Autumn, it'll pop up. You see two of our very talented actors right on the front, and we just hope that you enjoy it. But also, if you don't mind me mentioning this, we are working on a web series that revolves around the characters from that movie and additional characters.
But again, that slowly so that you can, the last gentle wins.
The Last Gentle Wind of Autumn.
Not wins, just W-I-N-D, Wind of Autumn. The Last Gentle Wind of Autumn on YouTube. So we got Pastor Bush is in Cary, who has an answer to, how about this unjust steward, Pastor?
Good morning to you. He buried his what was given to him. He did nothing with it at all, and he buried it.
Now, that was a steward, all right, and he was certainly unjust. That's right. And have you ever thought about, Pastor, how risky it takes to have faith? That's the whole idea of that particular parable you're talking about, is that God is a risky God. In other words, he trusted Robbie Dilmore with free will. What was he thinking? and love takes phenomenal amounts of risk, right? And when you think that God is love, it gives you an idea of how risky God is. And so if we're made in his image, right, the last thing we need to do is not have faith. I love that you picked that particular stewardship parable to pick on there, Pastor. That's wonderful. Thank you.
And the thing, and what's really, really, really sad is we have displaced faith a lot of times because there are things that are tangible that we will put our faith in, and they've always let us down.
You're right.
But the intangible, yet the tangible God, he never fails us. He never fails us. And then we punish him because of what someone else has done to us.
That's absolutely.
But this man, God is never going to let us down. God did not create us to destroy us. He created us to profit us and to love us and to nurture us. So we have displaced faith.
You ought to be a pastor. I'm telling you, the way you talk. It's just beautiful, really, Pastor Boy. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for
You're
calling.
Quite welcome.
You have a great afternoon.
God bless you.
God bless you.
You have a blessed day.
All right. Bye-bye. You too. All right. Well, it just so happens that there's another unjust steward in the Bible. So if you happen to know about that one, we would love for you to call us at 866-348-7884. There might even be more unjust stewards that I hadn't thought about yet. 866-348-7884. Again, we got lots of prizes in the King of Pursuits prize vault. We would like to hook you up. 866-348-7884. Getting back to a bed and a book. So we heard about the bed. What about the book?
So for each child that we deliver a bed to, we also like to provide a book. And it's not just any book. Whenever we speak with the guardian, whoever may be of the child, we find out the child's interests, age, and that way we can make sure the book is catered to the child so they want to read it.
Awesome. We're going to find out more about that. We're going to find out a whole lot more about stewards, not owners, because we haven't got a chance to hardly talk about that. We still have this conference coming up June 20th through the 21st.
Some kids never smile. They're embarrassed by their crooked teeth. They want braces like the other kids, but their families can't afford them. Some may even try to straighten their teeth themselves. That can make everything worse. Luckily, there's Donated Orthodontic Services, a program from the American Association of Orthodontists. It helps provide orthodontic treatment to kids and teens whose families can't afford it. For kids who apply, are approved, and are matched with a volunteer orthodontist, it can be life-changing. Their treatment is in the hands of an expert, a licensed local orthodontic specialist who improves their smiles by correctly aligning teeth and jaws. Some kids think they'll never smile again, but Donated Orthodontic Services may help them smile with confidence. To link to the application and eligibility requirements, visit aaoinfo.org.
Mama, what does the chicken say?
Chicken. Oh, okay.
When the wolf?
Oh, a wolf.
Ooh! What about the tiny dog? Cat. Owl. Dolphin? What does the turkey say? Whale.
Yeah, whale sound.
Do the giraffe.
Giraffe, really? Oh, okay. Giraffe.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
My husband, Alex Hussey, was hit by an IED in Afghanistan.
I was playing man in foot patrol and I stopped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
Seeing Alex learning how to snow ski, that's life-changing.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex did it. He skied down this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
To see him on that slope and smiling like that, we'll be taking this home.
This has meant so much. Thank you, DAV.
Alex Hussey, thank you for your service. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Welcome back to Kingdom Pursuits, where how God takes your passion and uses it to build the kingdom. I'm just sitting there kind of in awe, actually, of all God has blessed me with today in the way of stewardship. I'm actually like just blown away. So Annalisa's ministry that God called you to, how many years ago?
5 years. We're working on 5 years this year.
So in 5 years, God put it on her heart to start doing this for children and give them a bed and a book. And today, over 300 volunteers, 4 chapters, working on one in California, working on one in Canada. And like, oh my goodness, God has taken your passion and really a lot of people must have shared it as this is spreading like wildfire.
Yeah, we call it building community one bed at a time. We're just being blessed with so many people who are seeing, what God is doing and how he's working, and they want to be a part of it. And they're using, each person, I always say to each person who helps and shows up in any way that they're part of the ministry, they're part of God's work and showing his love to these children. The first children identified were sleeping on a shower curtain and covering up with towels at night. That's how they slept. I had a 12-year-old boy who was sleeping in a crib. And his family had found that crib in a dumpster, and they took the front off the crib, and he was a tall boy. And so he would curl up in a ball. And I said, buddy, if you don't mind sharing with me, can you tell me why you just don't sleep on a pallet like I've seen some kids do? And he said, because we have big mice in our home and they run across me at night. And this way they don't run across me.
Yeah, will get you going. And what a beautiful thing that God's put on your heart, Annalisa. And again, it's called a bed and a book. And do you guys have a website? Or
we do. It's actually so simple, abedandabook.com. Try to keep it as simple as we could.
I love that. I love that. And so getting back to stewards, not owners, Dana and Bill. So how about you guys? How did God put this on your heart originally to write the book?
So, we really early in our marriage started to see how what we do with our money is a reflection of our love for God and our obedience. And we saw it came to see it as a love letter to God that we write with how we handle our money. And that's not just when we're giving money to the church. That's also when we're going out to Starbucks to buy coffee or saving money for the future. And that all of it is important to God. And I think there's sometimes a sense among Christians that he just wants a cut, give him his tithes and then you can go do what you want with the rest of it. And Fortunately or unfortunately, that is not the way God works. He is a jealous God, and he wants all of us. He wants every part of us surrendered. There's no part that he wants on our throne except for him, and that includes all of our money. So we wrote that book really after 35 years of marriage, of thinking together about how we honor God with our money. And we have a lot of creative ideas in there, but moreover, we have stories of 24 people that Dana mentioned, the people who were really trying to live out what it means to be a good steward. And this is really a journey of generosity and of joy.
Right. I love that because stories give you context. And when you read them, right, they keep your interest because you want to know, well, what happened here? What happened here? What happened there? And so as you guys began to put these stories together in this book, Dana, I'm very curious, which one of them just took your breath?
Well, I think a lot of them take my breath when I see, because I know these folks and how they live, and I'm just so impressed with how they've lived. But I would say the one that really blew me over was a man who made a lot of money. His name is Scott Friesen, and he could have retired at age 35 and, kind of just retired to the golf course. And of course, he still likes to golf. No problems with that. But he heard the Lord say, work so that others may live. And what he took that to mean is, because he has so much business acumen, to continue to labor with his skill that God so blessed him with, to do wealth creation in Africa and job creation there. And he's now directed millions of other, investment dollars to Africa and has all kinds of really good, dignified jobs for people that are sustaining their families, helping their kids go to school, kind of what we would say is poverty prevention programs, so that we don't even need to send over donor dollars to help with at least the families of these kids or these workers, because they already have a dignified, wonderful job that's providing for them. And so we want to see more of that. And I was just so excited that Scott leaned into this, and for every day he works, he can kind of even think through how many people, you may never meet them till heaven, but that he helped with God's resource. He was just a conduit, but it was his work that is continuing the lives of others.
Yeah, can you imagine the joy, right, that he experiences as a result of helping all those people in Africa and those kind of things? And again, that is the idea of generosity. And I love that. Again, the book is Stewards, Not Owners. And, she's talking about that joy. And again, the idea of what that may be for all of us. And I love the idea of what Bill said, that what we do with our money is a love letter to some extent, for God. And as if you could sit in the studio with me right a second, you would see the joy in all these guys' face, right? As they're using their time, talent, and treasure in different measure to do these very things. Like, how cool. It's just amazing. And I would just throw this in that I learned this week. I was studying some different words, and I was working on the word 10 because I was studying the parable of the 10 virgins. And the word 10 is also the word for tithing, obviously, but it also is wealth. And the way the Jews teach that is that your tithe is the only part of your money that is salted away in heaven. In other words, it will never go away. The money that you spend in not just tithing and offering in any way, shape, or form, right? Or like the money or time and treasure that you put into bed and a book, that goes on for eternity. Yeah. Right. And it continues based on God's economy. It's going to continue to prosper and grow. Yeah, Corbin.
That 10th is feminine.
Right.
So it's giving.
Right.
So it's a multiplication of that 10. So that 10 is necessarily necessarily dormant or buried into the ground.
Right.
Like one of the others. But it's feminine, so it's going to reproduce and grow on top of that. So take that 10.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful, Corbin. And so as you guys are growing this conference, we got to get back to that. The Next Gen conference that's coming up. So what are you young people going to experience when they come?
So we actually work it as like a 3-day conference. It is a Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, and a closeout on Sunday. So we get all of our old people back enjoying it, and everybody's like, "Oh, you got to recap of how awesome this conference was." But really, Friday night we open up. We have an epic guy. His name is me. I'm going to be teaching, but I'm not the epic guy.
He's also a very epic guy.
But no, we have a guy named Noble Official. He's super epic. He's a rapper out of Dallas, Texas. Just dude, hungry for God. Absolutely amazing. And he's taking over Saturday morning. And then we have a few breakout classes. My sister Hannah's teaching one. Another ministry friend of mine, he's coming in and teaching one. And then Saturday night, we have 2 awesome guests coming. One of them, her name is CC.
So her name is Childlike. She is Childlike Cece. She's actually from Winston-Salem. She is a massive Christian rapper. And I think she actually just signed a deal to go on tour with KB not too long ago. So we actually have her coming in, and she's going to put on a phenomenal set that I'm super stoked about.
And what are you going to teach on?
So,
Mikkel, you said she's got a conference. So what are you teaching on?
Well, the Lord has yet to reveal that part, but I believe it's going to go along the lines of identity and how you can use the things that God has given you.
That is an amazing topic. So, wow, I'm just sitting there again, blown away. The film was The Last Gentle Wind of Autumn. That's in YouTube, right? A bed and a book. Stewards, not owners. And the Next Gen Conference. We've got one more segment, so hang on to your hats. Not to mention, you could call in if you want to talk about the other unjust
2 words from Jesus that change everything.
True Commentary with Stu Epperson, author of the book, Last Words of Jesus.
In Mark chapter 14, Jesus gave 2 words to his disciples. They could hardly stay awake. He's at the most critical moment of his whole life before going to the cross. And he said these 2 words, watch and pray. Let's talk about watch. What do you see? Do you see things as he sees things? People as he sees people? How are you doing is much different than how are you really doing. First you watch and then you pray. When you pray, you're depending on God. You're bringing him into the situation. You're asking him to work and you're asking him to do the impossible. Watch and pray. See as Jesus sees and ask him to help. And he's a very present help in the time of need. Those 2 words change everything.
True Commentary with Stu Epperson, author of the book, Last Words of Jesus. Available now in bookstores. Learn more at lastwordsofjesus.com.
Hi, I'm Fuad Reves. I'm a home builder. And I have a question for all of you out there who are building your dream home. Are you making plans so your home will have healthier indoor air? It's an important question because there's a deadly invisible radioactive gas that can seep into homes from underground. It's radon gas, and when you breathe it in, it can cause lung cancer. Among non-smokers, radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer. The good news is that it's simple to build a home, so radon is not a problem. Building your home radon resistant is a good, inexpensive way to stop radon from entering your home. Any builder can do it. So protect your family. Talk to your builder. Tell them you want a healthier, safer dream house. You'll have better dreams.
Learn more. Visit the EPA at epa.gov/radon. That's epa.gov/radon. This public service announcement is brought to you by the EPA, who does not endorse this particular builder or any other commercial enterprise.
Welcome back to Kingdom Pursuits, where we hear how God takes your passion and uses it to build the kingdom. And like I said, all hour, I'm just always amazed at what God sends our way to share with you. And we have with us Rodney and Corbin, who worked on the movie, again, The Last Gentle Wind of Autumn. And that's on YouTube right now. If you want to go see that again, one of the things, whether it's if you buy the book, Stewards, Not Owners, people love feedback. They pour their hearts into these things. And so, if you go on Amazon and you get that book, why not rate it? Why not say, man, this is what I like. This is, give it 5 stars, whatever. The same thing on YouTube, right? If you watch The Last Gentle Wind of Autumn, right? Yeah. And say what you like, what you don't like.
But to that point, we always love feedback. We also love connecting with other artists and just storytellers in general, if you don't mind, give us a follow on Instagram at No Excuses Be Great Productions. Again, that's No Excuses Be Great Productions. We'll be glad to connect with you.
Yeah, so cool, so cool. And so getting back to a bed and a book, like this is an absolutely amazing thing. And so you had talked about that you recently have been approached by people in Canada about having a chapter up there and in California.
Yeah, so the fire departments in here in Winston-Salem and in Greensboro, High Point, help us deliver beds. And in one of the conferences, they shared the word of how it was nice to be in the community when it wasn't, a terrible fire or, extracting someone from a vehicle, which is very heavy. These firefighters see and have to go through. But to be in the community, showing God's love in a different way and being heroes in a different way. And that's by going into a home and assembling a brand new bed for a child who's never had one. And so with sharing that story, the fire chiefs in those communities said, I want to bring this to our firefighters in our community, and we want to build a community one bed at a time. So that's kind of how that conversation started.
Right. And I love the fact that you give them a book as well, right? Yeah. That if they got the joy of reading, hopefully that, they pick up the best book of all time.
Well, and that is the intent, to let them know that God's word is the most important word. The book portion came about with one of the ladies that was on my original board. She said, whenever I was a child, no matter what I was going through, if I picked up a book, I could escape to another world. And so we kind of thought that would go hand in hand with the bed to give them that, way to escape no matter what you're dealing with or through. And, some of those books are gospel books. We're able to partner with Bookmarks here locally. And if the family, was looking for a sort of thing they can do together as a family, we provide that as well, like a devotional, daily devotional. So we're able to, share God's love through that literature as well.
That's wonderful. And so the Next Generation Conference, is there a cost involved so that people can donate to the steward at the
Yeah, so it is 100%. We cover the entire cost of the conference outright for all the students to be there. But the thing that we do ask is for people to be able to help sponsor and to be able to donate towards it to get the scholarship funds up even more so.
Right. So again, to find out more about that,
that is Central Triad Church /NextGen. Central Triad Church /NextGen. And
Right.
there we go. And we'd love for every business. We love to be able to promote your stuff too. I know we have a couple local ones like Bobo's. They help us out every year. They feed all of our students. So we always throw their name out. We want to make sure that we're feeding back into the community as much as we can.
Awesome. And so, Bill, as you, unfortunately, we just got a couple more minutes here. I was thinking about wrapping up. What did you want to say that you didn't get said today?
So there's something called the finish line pledge that some people have popularized. And it's this notion of when you're coming to the end of your career and you decide, I got enough money, I could retire now. You're a teacher and you feel like you've put in years of service, you've done the math and you can retire. What about keeping on working for another year and give away all that you make that year on a net basis? Pay your taxes and give the rest away. We think that if you do that 1 year, you might think, wow, that was so cool to write that huge check to my church or my nonprofit. I think I'll do that another year. Other people say, hey, I'm a doctor. I could live on a nurse's salary. True story. This one woman, OBGYN, she said, I could certainly have lived on a nurse's salary. So she decided to give away everything above a nurse's salary, even though she was a physician. You could do that with anything. And so that notion of trying to figure out what is enough, because money and our desires can be insatiable. And frankly, we can be greedy and we can really be indulgent. And the Lord says, look, I gave you these things so that you could bless others. That's why he gives us gifts. That's why he gives us resources.
That's wonderful, Bill. And to finish up, Rodney.
Yes. Again, if you want to connect with us, it is No Excuses Be Great Productions. Also on Instagram. Also, we are going into production on our show. There is a GoFundMe associated with that. All the information is on the Instagram. We know that there are many causes that are important to the world right now. But we believe this is a very powerful story that can start a conversation of healing and how to deal with grief. So we certainly appreciate anything you'd be willing to give. go to the GoFundMe on the Instagram.
Absolutely beautiful. It was so cool to have all of you here. I'm just honored. Like, man, God, how cool. So again, it's the Next Generation Conference is coming to Central Triad June 20th through the 21st. That's in Winston-Salem on 235 Cole Road. And abedandabook.com, easy enough. And not Stewards, Not Owners is the name of that book. You can get it on Amazon. Again, Stewards, Not Owners. Thank you all for listening. Oh, you're so important to the Truth Network. We can't tell you now. Stay tuned. You got encouraging prayer coming up with James Banks, followed by The Masculine Journey. Starts here now at 12 o'clock. So much truth coming at you on the